Hi there, and welcome back to the Greater Good video course on how to become a social entrepreneur, episode 2. This series is going to cover a lot of ground from how to pitch your business venture to networking and funding. But before we get into any of that, it's essential to first establish your vision. What will the long term outcome of your initiative be, and what shape will it take to get you there? Madeline Shaw, can you please tell us a little bit more about what you mean by the term vision and share some tips for those who might not have a specific vision yet?
Absolutely, Maggie. Yeah. So vision, I know it sounds kind of a little bit woo, right? To some of us. But really it's the why. So as social entrepreneurs, we're trying to achieve some form of positive social or environmental change. And that tends to have something for us. There's something at stake. There's a principle. There's some kind of an emotional attachment to that. And typically, it's a life experience that has come our way that has given us an insight that gives that meaning. So vision is our way of articulating that. It's the answer to what form of change are you trying to create and why. So, which sounds pretty straightforward, but actually, it's not necessarily. I mean, vision can be a range of things. I tend to, I mean, I'll just own it. I'm a visionary person. Like it's just something that sort of comes naturally to me. I'm very creative. I'm very imaginative. And things just kind of show up in my consciousness. But when I look back, I can see how there are almost kind of breadcrumbs. So certain life experiences or things that I was exposed to that gave me part of the idea. So vision doesn't always just emerge as a fully packaged, like, here you go, here's the thing. Often I think of it as sort of puzzle pieces. So, that thing that happened when you were a kid, or that, idea that really made an impression on you, or someone you met, or something. It's the kind of the things that really stick in your imagination that landed for you in terms of your values have maybe shaped an experience like that where there was something that really mattered to you that emerged to you about that. So um, and vision is what do I want to say about it? Without rambling, it's kind of imaginative. So it's kind of like what if it's make believe. So it's like, in the case of one of my ventures, which is called Nestworks, it's a family friendly co-working community. It's the answer to what if I could bring my kids to work with me? How about that? Like it's an answer to a problem that was bugging me. It's a thing. It's like I can't find daycare for my child, and I don't see why there's this false, dichotomy between, work and life that we then need to balance. And so my mind started going, why is it this way? Could it be different? So vision is a very imaginative act that is sometimes rooted in a problem, can be rooted in something that drives you crazy or makes you super angry, or it can be rooted in something very beautiful and altruistic that is rooted in things like compassion and altruism and generosity and that type of thing. So, but you're looking for an emotional response that you're having to something. And then from there, you're seeking a solution to what that might be.
Hmm. So, how do you turn those feelings and observations and questions into a clear vision that's ready for sharing with others? To really sharpen it and, as you say, articulate it.
Yeah, well, so it's an ongoing process, like, and it doesn't just happen once. So don't be concerned about, it's not like a test where you get a right or a wrong answer kind of thing, but would point to this notion of puzzle pieces. So, take some time. Like, it's not something that just kind of boom, like, oh, here's the vision. It's something that you might want to do a bit of digging into your personal history. You might want to spend some time thinking about what your values are. You might want to even do some visual, like not all of us are kind of kinesthetic, like artistic, creative, like dropping into that liminal space, allowing us to access our intuition. I even in the book I propose a meditation activity where readers are guided into meeting up with their sort of childhood, youthful, adolescent self, because in my experience, that's a very, very formative place in our lives where, in many ways, the things that we love or are intrigued by or kind of provoked by kind of come from that age. And going back there can be a great way to access them. So from there, you've got to get practical, as you point out, like what do you need to do? And so Ultimately, it's got to come down to a sentence or two. Like that is what you are looking for, practically speaking. So there needs to be a story. There needs to be something that I am going to tell you about in some way, shape, or form. So that requires words. So that means you need to write it. So even if you start writing, it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be just let yourself write, like just get it all out, write it all down, and then start noticing what words and what patterns kind of emerge. But basically, it's you want to get to the impact. What is the change that you were trying to create in the world, and how? So, what's the vehicle for that? So, it's really just those two things, and at it in its simplest form. So, I would start by trying to articulate those two things in one or two sentences, and the reason or the way you know that you're there is there'll be sort of an expansive feeling that you will have when you recognize like that yes moment of like this is it. And it doesn't mean it's it forever. These things can change. But just let yourself like really drop into your body, have a somatic experience of um, landing in that moment of truth, and that's how you know that you're there.
I love it. Well, and I know that when we developed our tagline for our company, "Big Ideas for a Better World," that's just a tiny little phrase, and yet it contains so much. It still gives me goosebumps. And I'll tell you, it took months of workshopping to get it down from this big, long, unwieldy 15-word kind of murky statement into something that was crystal clear and concise and that we can really lean into. So, and it's just such a fun process, so worth doing. Thank you so much for your guidance on how to crystallize and articulate a big vision. In our next video, we're going to be talking about how to craft and share your story with others.